Welcome back to Contract Lancer, ladies and gentlemen. On today's topic, we're going to be discussing promotions. How does one get promoted without getting promoted? How do you promote yourself to making more money? Well, the answer is pretty straightforward, but I'm going to give you some tips on how to actually achieve it because it's always easier said than done. Before we get that, I'm going to discuss my last video, my April Fool's video. And in this video, I had a lot of fun doing it. It's only 3 minutes long, and it was promoting my book. It is a book that essentially is only 12 pages, and it costs $5.55. So if I were you, I wouldn't buy it. But if you had the Kindle Unlimited, then please read it. It's free for you, and it will put some money in my pocket theoretically. I have no idea if it does that or not. So if you want to help good old Contract Lancer here for his big old boat, then please either read my book on the Kindle Unlimited or purchase it for $5.55. Just know that you're not getting very much for it. But, whatever. Anyways, promotions. On the topic of promotions, we'll be discussing a situation that I found myself in, and I find other people apparently going through as well. Let's say that you're a developer, a young developer that just landed a job. You worked for that job for a few years, 1 or 2 years, and suddenly you want a promotion. But that is where you get stuck. You're not able to achieve the amount of money you want to make, and your company is not willing to give you the amount of money you believe you earn. Fair. In the first year, when you worked in that company, you were gaining your experience, and you decided, hey, I'm not that good. They're not going to really give me a raise right now. I just started. Understandable. Second year, you're like, you know what? The second year, maybe I should get a raise. And sometimes the companies will give you a raise, but not a very good one, like a 1 or 2% raise or a $1 or $2 raise if you're going by the hourly, and that's not the amount of money you want to make. Fair enough. I'm always a promoter of those to go above and beyond what they have right now, because that is the only way you'll ever achieve more, by going for that more, even if you fail, which is fine. You're gonna fail a lot, trust me. So in my situation, I was working for a company that I enjoyed working for. I was making a little bit below the average at the time, and I did that for a few years. And I really did enjoy the work I was doing. I enjoyed the people I was with. But I knew I was not going to get the promotion that I thought I deserved. I was getting little incremental changes to my salary, increases, but nothing that caught up to the average. And I thought that was weird, and I kind of knew what was happening, so I had to make a choice. I had to decide whether or not I wanted to move forward with my salary ambitions or stay with the company that I was familiar with and enjoyed working for. Ultimately, I decided to move ahead and leave the company to go find something that was a lot better salary-wise. The company might not necessarily be better than the other company I worked for, but they paid more, and they paid me what I was worth, what I believed I was worth. And I'm going to teach you how to do that today. The first thing you have to do is basically answer that question: if the promotion is worth it to you, then you're going to probably have to leave the company you're working for, even though you're familiar with it. It's scary, especially if it's your first time doing it. Trust me, I was there. I had the same hiccups, the same hangups. They gave me a chance, and I'm leaving them. I get it, but at the end of the day, a job's a job, and your money is your money. So if you ever want to get promoted, this is how you have to go forward. You have to make that leap at some point. And waiting for the corporation to, acknowledge that you are worth some amount of money is the slowest way, if not, it never happens to get there. So how do we begin? How do we begin this little leaping of ours, this little journey to get more money? The first thing you have to do is assess your market value. And you do that by basically determining how much you're making now and how much somebody is going to pay you. So the amount of money you're worth right now is whatever you're getting paid. And the amount of money you want to be worth is the amount that somebody's going to pay you. Essentially, what I'm saying is get a job that pays you more. If they're willing to pay you more, then there you go. Your baseline has changed. You went from X to Y. You went from 60K to 80K or 90K or whatever. And that's your new baseline. You will rarely ever fall below it unless you're in dire straits and you really need it. And you hopefully will continue to go higher and higher as your experience improves. There's more to this than that, but that is essentially the general rule. So once you finally assess your market value, then the jobs that you'll be going for will also kind of tell you where your market value is going to be. So if your jobs are making 40, 50K, not 40 or $50 an hour, more or less, that's roughly 80 to 90K, 80 to 100K, around that area. Then that will be where your worth is going to land if you get these jobs. The next thing you have to do is actually get the job, right? So this could be a whole video on its own. I think I've gone over this in a couple of my videos about how to, improve your interview skills, what to do. So for this, I'm not going to go too in depth into it. I'm just going to give you general advice that I'll break it down a little bit. The way you assess your skills, first of all, is by interviewing a lot. When you're first starting out, especially if you're trying to do the whole, changing from one job to another, you're probably not that good at interviewing. So the best thing to do is to grab as many interviews as possible, as many interviews you can get, and take time to do them. Schedule sick days or whatever what have you in order to do these interviews with your current job and get the job that way. And then once you're in the interview, take notes, because you're probably not going to get the first couple dozen jobs. I know, like, it sounds exaggeration, but that's how long it took me before I finally was able to go whoop. But it will be worth it. The amount of time that you take interviewing will increase your skills in interviewing, and there are two kinds of skills that you will have to develop: hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills being your programming skills, your technical skills, and soft skills being the skills you need to actually talk, negotiate in a job. So it's much easier, honestly, to develop your technical skills than it is to develop your soft skills, because in order to develop your soft skills, you need to communicate with more people, and you just have to keep on interviewing if you don't have that many people around you that can communicate effectively, especially in an interviewing session. Sometimes it does help having maybe a coach, maybe someone that can do mock interviews with you. That can help sometimes. Ultimately, it depends on whatever it is. Just get exposure to social situations that mimic an interview kind of scenario. As for hard skills, they're a little bit easier, and really what you have to understand is exactly the questions you're being asked and the programming tasks you're being asked. You could do this online. Online, there's usually a lot of people that say these are the common questions for whatever your tech stack is going to be, and these are the common things you have to do. Normally, it revolves around, especially with object-oriented programming, how to use objects and lists and such and what have you. If you're using a scripting language like Python, then I believe that they will test you on basically writing, a script that mimics a bit of how to run through a list and stuff like that. Really, things that you probably would have learned if you took programming 1 or programming 2. Apart from this, I could go deeper in this topic, but I'm going to leave it here just to say, hey, just develop your hard skills or your soft skills, whatever you think. Just determine what your flaws are going to be and really help yourself there, because interviewing is one thing, but learning from those interviews is another. Please take whatever you can get from those interviews. The last piece of advice I'll give you is to network. Network and fostering good relationships is an excellent way to open opportunities for yourself. Am I saying to go out of your way and be friends with people? Not really, but I am saying to be a good person overall, treat them fairly, be a good acquaintance. I'm not going to lie to you that there will be people out there who are not friendly people, and you might have to work with them, but there will be other people around you who will be, plenty kind. And if you're working in a very toxic environment, then you might want to consider maybe changing that earlier than later. But that's a different topic altogether. As far as when it comes to developing your own network, then these people can come in the form of mentors, coaches, the people you work with, your colleagues, especially your older colleagues, because your older colleagues are usually the ones that are getting hit up for positions. So then if they like their job, they're probably not going to take it, right? And they might say, hey, maybe I'll pass it on to someone that I know that could do the job. And no one who is in the position of, handing out a job opportunity will recommend you for that job opportunity if they think you're an asshole, essentially. Even if you don't have the skills for it, I would rather refer someone who is willing to develop the skills, who has a good attitude, than I am willing to refer someone who has the skills but has a bad attitude, because that reflects poorly on me. Next time I want to refer somebody, then it just besmirches, my own reputation, because you have a reputation. It's in your resume, and if you have a LinkedIn, it's in your LinkedIn, and it's in your history, especially when it comes to references. Every job will ask you for references, so it's good to have a network in order for you to have good references and in order for you to have other opportunities in the future. Obviously, this comes back to you when you're the older developer and you need, you start getting the opportunities that you don't want to take and you want to give to other people and help them out. It's a virtuous cycle if you allow it to be. In conclusion, my tips basically will teach you the gists of what it means to promote yourself, to gain more money over time. Don't expect a corporation to promote you, and don't wait for that promotion. The best way for you to start making the money you want to make today is by going out there and finding these jobs, getting better at interviewing, getting better at your own skill set, and marketing yourself and landing these opportunities. Use your network to your advantage. Have those good references. Have those people who have opportunities like they could give you someday, and you'll be fine. You'll basically be able to start moving up in the world quicker than you'd expect, and that is always a good thing. So don't be afraid to take that risk. Even if you fail, you're gonna fail a lot, so just get used to it, because when you do succeed, it'll taste that much sweeter. And that will be the end of Contract Lancer. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Contract Lancer, and see you next time. If you want me to go over any of the other topics more in depth, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a good night. See ya.